First, this is Step Ahead Driving School, and today's topic we are taking is road signs. So, um, just stay cautious and then follow me as we go through this topic. All right. So, the definition of road signs: road signs are symbols that instruct or provide information to road users, and they are usually erected at both sides or above the roads. They are identified by their shape, color, and symbol or text. So usually you see that with some of the road signs. Some of them you see them on the sides of the road like that. Some of them you see them erected up there, right? We have those ones like that. And then we have types. So with the types, we have three major types. We have three major types, and then one minor. One minor. Now with the minor ones, usually they are temporary, right? They are temporary. And they consist of highway construction signs or maintenance signs. So usually when they are constructing roads and stuff, you see that sometimes they put these signages there, maybe slow down, men at work, keep left, diversion, all that kind of thing, right? Yes. So you have some of those ones. And then you have service signs too as well. Service signs. And then you have guide signs, accident scene signs. Usually when accidents happen, they put some of these signages there so that you coming from behind can see that there is something going on there. You need to slow down so you don't become a victim of some of these accidents, right? All right, moving to the major signs. Now with the major signs, we have three types. We have warning. We have the warning signs. We have the regulatory. And we have the informatory. Now note, with the regulatory, we have two types. We have both prohibitory and then mandatory, right? So when we get into that, I'll expand into details. Any questions on this? All right, so we are going to talk about the major signs now. So the warning sign, right? So they are usually described as signages that inform road users about dangerous conditions 45 meters ahead. And it has a triangular shape, a red border, and a black symbol or image. And you can find it in the Ghana Highway Code on page 37. It is the warning signs, right? So we are going to delve deep into that. Okay. Right. Now, we are going to talk about a few of them, right? And then we move to the other ones for the sake of time. Alright, so the first one you see here, if you can refer to your Ghana Highway Code, the first one you see here. Now we have the T junction, right? The T junction. Now usually a lot of people get accidents at junctions, right? So the T junction, when you are getting there, you see the signage. The way it looks, T, that is how the road looks like, right? And so, yes, and so when you are coming from, let's say, a minor road into a junction, which is like a T junction, you need to take your time. If you are on a minor road, wherever it's on the major road has their right of way. Okay, wherever it's on the major road has their right of way. So you would have to take your time. When the cars have passed, then you can go into it. Or if someone is kind enough to give you space into the junction or into the road, and then you can move. Right. Otherwise, if you go that way, you can end up causing an accident. All right, so that is it for the T junction here. And then we have roundabouts. Roundabouts. Do we know how to go around the roundabout? Okay, so let me just demonstrate that here. Now, supposing, okay, so let's use this as a roundabout. Let's say we have these cars here. So I'm just using the arrows to represent vehicles, okay, to represent vehicles, right? So if you are getting into a roundabout, if you're on this road, that road, or this road, or that, coming into the roundabout, you don't have your right of way. You do not. Okay? The cars in there have their right of way. So you don't come and force yourself into the roundabout. Otherwise, if there is a car here trying to move and you also force yourself, there will be a crash here. Right? So, if they are moving, you let them exit the roundabout before you go into the roundabout. Is that clear? Right? So, getting to the roundabout, that is when you see the roundabout signage here. Right? You see that. So that it alerts you that there's a runabout ahead. You need to take your time. And usually you're going to see the giveaway sign too. The giveaway sign, it looks like a triangle. Let me just look at that, which is upside down. Something like this. Right? This one triangle is crooked. Sorry. Yes. Alright. So something like this. Right? Also in red, like this. So you usually see it together with the runabout signage, the giveaway. So it's just telling you there's a runabout, you need to give way because you are coming from a place where you're about to join, and whoever is in the runabout has their right of way. Are we okay? Do we understand? Any questions? Nice. Now, migratory signs instruct road users on what to do and must be obeyed at all times. Each shape is circular with a blue background and white images or symbol. So, as you can see in the book here, you see, keep right, keep left. So like here, in this, it says keep left. You get to a road which tells you that keep left, you keep left. There's a reason why they are saying you are mandated to keep left. Maybe if you go right, there's a construction ongoing there, you will enter into it, and if something happens, you can't really blame anyone for that, right? And then you also have 10 left, compulsory runabout. So whatever you do, you go around that runabout. You can't avoid it. Okay. And then we have one way. There are some roads that it's just one way. You don't, if you are going towards that side, it's just going towards that side. The car coming from this side, you can't use that road because the road says one way. So traffic is moving in one way. You do that, you are safe. But if you decide to make that road a two-way when it's a one-way, the police will deal with you. Okay, all right. Now let's move to informatory signs. Now with the informatory signs, this gives information on directions and destination. They are rectangular with blue or green background colors, and the symbols are images and lettering. Right? So this one, let me talk about the informatory ones first, right? So we have something like hospital, parking place, one-way street, no through road, U-turn, pedestrian crossing. So you see them there like that. They are informing you. When you go into a hospital, it tells you that, oh, you are at the hospital. You get to a pedestrian crossing, which we locally call it a zebra crossing. You know that you are there. All right. You get to a U-turn, it tells you are at a U-turn, so you can make that turn. Okay. And then you get to a motorway, it will let you know that you are about to get to a motorway or you are on the motorway. Right. Also a bus stop or a terminal, a hump or a ramp. You see all these there. Right. And then we have the directional ones, which would guide you to your destination. Okay. So this one, for instance, as you can see here, it says advanced direction for roundabouts. So you see Kumasi Nkoko, Oferia to the right, across Asamankesi to the left. Right, so you get on such a road, maybe you are missing, you don't even know what to do. You've been asking people, so you get to that road, and then you see, say, oh, okay. So Kumasi goes straight. They take the straight road, you know that you are on the right spot. Okay. And then there's another one, advanced direction for T junction. I take Bubu to the left, Mount Ponashanti to the right. Let's talk about the last thing and the warning signs, so that we move to the next. Okay. Now, when you look in the book, there is one that says steep descents and steep ascents. Okay. And then it's basically showing you the arrows. So if it's descending, the road goes that way. You see that the arrow points downwards, right? If you are ascending, then it points upwards, right? So the steepness of it, right? Now this is very, very important. You see, very, very important because supposing, let's use the descent. Supposing you are coming from a level ground, okay, and then the next thing is that the road which leads or which you are about to get on is descending downwards, very steeply, like that. And there is no road sign there. What do you think will happen? You basically fly like that. And once you are landed, it's either you are getting hit seriously or you are dying. Yeah. Right. So it is very important that when you see this road sign there, you slow down. Let me give you an example. So there is this road somewhere here in Ghana, right? And it has this kind of nature. Right? So from the level ground, there's a steep descent like this. And after that one, there's a sharp curve. So imagine there is no road sign there to indicate that. This is how the road looks like. Whoever is coming flies like that. And by the time they are getting down, they can't really go straight because there's a sharp curve. So they go straight into the hill and then accident. And that has killed a lot of people. In Ghana, Western region. Yes, Somalia's area. So when you are coming from Koforidia towards Somalia, right, there is a road called Ibrakai outside. Yes, that is how the road is.
If you are a driver and you don't know the road and again, don't pay attention to those signs.
Exactly, yes. That is why we say that in road accidents, the topic road accidents, we say that 90% of human errors are causes of road accidents, right? Including poor knowledge of the route. Because you don't know the route, you don't know how it goes, but you are speeding. If that happens, the tendency of you getting accidents is very high, right? Because you haven't been on that road before, but then you are speeding. Whether the road moves this way, moves that way, you have no idea. So you're just going like that, and then you end up getting an accident. There's also one from Ebri to Isawam. There's also a road like that. For that one, it is a very, very sharp curve. And after the sharpness like this, there is this big ditch all over like that. A lot of people have died there. That one, when you enter, you are not coming back because it goes all the way down. It's very, very deep. Right. So once you are going there, then you are joining your ancestors. Alright. Okay. Alright, so let's move on. Now the next major sign we have is the regulatory. And like I said, regulatory, it is in two folds. Right? It's in two folds. We have the prohibitory and then we have the mandatory. Right, so we'll talk about the prohibitory signs first, and then we come to the mandatory. Okay. Most of these signs, they are used to reinforce traffic laws. Okay, they used to reinforce traffic laws. All right. So the first one here we have is no right turn. Right, no right turn. Right there. No right turn. So you will get to the road. You will get there. There may be a road to the right, but the sign says no right turn. Right? So you don't use that side. Use the left side. Otherwise, if you do, there is this policeman in the bush somewhere waiting for you to just make that mistake. You do it, and then they just stop you. The other one is no left turn. A very common one that they used to get most of the trusty drivers is the no U-turn. You know, sometimes when you're on highways, you can have this space that you can do a U-turn, right? But then the signage no U-turn will be there, which means that you have to go all the way down to go and make that U-turn. But people feel like, oh, for me to go all the way down, why not I just do that quick U-turn here? And you see the police people, they are smart. They hide. Once you do the thing, you woo, stop. And then they tell you, what's that? Why? Where is supposed to do a U-turn here? You try to argue your license, right? If you're not fortunate and you try to exchange words with them, they tell you, let's go to the station. I'm going to process you for court. So please take notes. Right? When you see this, it's just telling you are prohibited from making that turn there. Okay, you're prohibited. Now, another common one is no parking. No parking. This brings me to my first lesson which talks about the driver being disciplined. You remember, driver being disciplined. I said you can be a driver, be knowledgeable, know about every road sign there is. But if you're not disciplined, you're not going to keep them, right? So some drivers will see no parking. Let me be specific. Some trusty drivers will see no parking, and they will stop right in front of the signage to park. Some will see no stopping. You see, in the new highway code, I like it a bit more than the old one, because the new one says that no stop. The old one says no stopping, but the new one says no stopping for any reason. For any reason, you don't stop for any. Whether you are dropping passengers, a passenger is giving you pressure to stop. Someone is that no stopping for any reason, right? Otherwise, if you do that, you have violated a traffic law and you can be penalized for that. Okay. And then a very common one too is maximum speed limits as shown. So this one, you get to some highways and then you see the speed limits there. This one here says 50. Some you see 80. Some you see 30. Which means that on that particular road, you are supposed to be going according to that particular speed limit. Right? Now we have speed cameras around. You have speed, and they work actually. Right? They work. And so if you are not careful and you go above, you may be in trouble. You know, I know in Europe and in the Western world, in some countries, that one, they don't talk much. Police wouldn't really chase you or anything. You violate the speed limit, you get home and there's an email waiting for you. Right? They'll just send you a mail that you violated this is your fine, have a pay. I pay to the court on this date, have a pay. If you don't come, then you're in trouble. Right? So with the road markings, this type of road sign is marked on the road in white or yellow lines. And they mark the lanes and define the directions of traffic. So we have certain types, right? We have arrow marking, and they give directions for the driver to take mandatory turns. So sometimes you can see some of them like this. Okay? You can see some of them like this, right? And it's basically telling you that you can either go straight or use the left turn. Okay? So the arrow mark is to just help you with that, I can go straight or I can go left, right? And these ones, they are usually on the road. They are inscribed on the road, like that. They are drawn on the road, right? So you see them like that. Okay. Now, the next one says broken or dotted white lines, which is a very common one that we see almost all the time. And they are used to show the center line between lanes, right? So you have some like this, the broken ones, which most of us see. The broken ones like this. You have some like this. Now, I'll talk about one thing. When you see a signage like this on the road, drawn like this, the thick, long lines. This one represents a central island, right? When we talk about central island, a barrier, right? So in road and its users, it talks about we having a barrier in the middle for dual carriageways, right? But it can be that maybe there wasn't enough space to put that barrier there, and so we put it there with this road marking there, right? Instead, we put this road marking there instead of that barrier there. So when you see something like this, it means that you can't overtake in an area like this. Okay, if you do that, the possibility of an accident happening is high, right? So if you see this, you don't. That is why it's important that every driver knows the road signs, okay? For the others, as shown in the book, you can refer to the Ghana Highway Code, read more, and then you will get to know them into details. It's very important. It's not just for your exam's sake, but also for your own sake. All right, let's talk about the driving communications and then markers. So with the first one we have, and what you can see in your Ghana Highway Code, the first one says sharp curve to the right. Right, so with the way the signage is pointing, sharp curve to the right. Now this one is placed 45 meters ahead of that particular road condition. Right, so before you get to that sharp curve, you see the road signage there. So that in case you are speeding, you will start reducing your speed. Right, otherwise, if you don't, you can just go into it and then you get an accident. Right, same thing as sharp curve to the left. So with each of the road signs, the way the road looks like, that is how that road sign will be there, right, and positioned. Okay, so you have that sharp curve to the left, right, and then you have bend right. So basically, the road it has a slight bend. All right, so you see that. So you also take your time when you are driving into it. You don't go with speed like that. Then we have bend left, and then a very interesting one is reverse curve. So the road goes this way. So it goes this way, comes that way, and this way. Right? So it goes that way, comes this way, goes that way. Right? And so when you are getting to such a road, you need to take your time, especially if you were a first time user of a particular road which has this. You don't go with the speed like that, otherwise you end up in an accident. Right? Okay. Then we have one which says winding road. Have you ever seen a winding road before? It's like the way snakes move, right? That kind of pattern. And that is how the road winds. So if you're on such a route when you're not careful, you may get involved in an accident. And then we have carriageway narrows. Carriageway narrows. I believe most of us have done road and its users. Talking about the carriageway, we speak about the dual carriageway, right, which is broad. It has a central island in the middle, right, and then it blocks the opposite flow of traffic. Okay. Now we say that multiple lane is a combination of both the single carriageway and the dual carriageway, right? So when you are getting to, let's say, a dual carriageway, right? You want a dual carriageway, sorry, and you are getting to a single carriageway, you may see the signage there which says that carriageway narrows, right? Carriageway narrows. So you are from a dual carriageway, you are coming to a single carriageway which is narrowing. So the road signage there tells you that the road is about to narrow into a single carriageway. So if you need to speed down, then you speed down or you reduce your speed. All right, are we okay? Okay, any questions? All right, great. Now we have 1, 2, which is narrow bridge. Narrow bridge. It looks like this. Narrow bridge. Right. Now with a narrow bridge, when you are getting there, this one, sorry to say, but you have to use common sense, right? Because if you are not careful and you get there and there's a car coming from the other side and you're also coming from this side and everyone feels like I have my right of way and you get stuck in the middle, right? That's why I'm saying that, pardon me, you have to use your common sense. Because if you get there and see that, oh, maybe this car is already on the bridge coming, you need to park by the side for the car to move before you also go. All right. Otherwise, if you both decide to go, you are going to meet in the middle. There will be a crash. And if you are not fortunate and that person's car is way bigger than yours, then you would feel the impact more. Are we okay? All right, great. Okay. Then we have another signage here which talks about uneven road. Uneven road, right? So now with the uneven road, this is basically rough roads. When you are going to Kumasi and you get to Kokwasi, the road is bad. So we call that road uneven road. There are lots of bumps here and there. So the road goes that way. Right? And then we usually advise that when you are driving on an uneven road, you need to take your time, slow down. Otherwise, a little bump will throw you off. And you may get involved in an accident. Okay? So you need to take your time. Alright? So once you see that signage, you know that you are getting to a rough road or an even road, you need to take your time. Okay. And then the one just close to it says hump. In Ghana here we call it ramp. Right? We call it ramp. So when you are getting to maybe a ramp, you see this 45 meters ahead, and it's usually in red. So it's giving you a warning sign, right? By the time you get to the ramp, you see it in blue, which means that you are there. Then you go over. Sometimes you see certain people from afar with speed like that, then they fly over the ramp. Just like that. Because one, they have no idea that ramp is there. Two, there is no road signage there to notify them that there's a hump there. So they need to take their time. And then if you're not careful and you go over it like that, your shocks can get spoiled. Because the way you fly and land, right, can have impact on your shocks. Alright? So Driving communications. Now, communicating your intentions with other drivers and pedestrians on the road creates a friendly and safe environment for everyone. Yeah. And so we have some communication devices of your car, and then they include the turn signals or the traffic indicators, the brake lights, the hazard lights, the flashing highlights, and the horn. And also you can communicate by waving or nodding. Alright, so I'll just mention a few of these communication devices. We have the brake lights. So anytime you brake, the brake light comes on. So imagine your brake light is not working and you brake. It doesn't communicate to the driver behind you that you're actually braking. He will just ram into you like that. Okay. And then we also have the hazard lights. With the hazard lights, this one you use it when you are temporarily obstructing traffic or there is danger ahead. It's used to inform other road users that there is something going on. Alright. Maybe your car has an issue, or maybe it's raining, you can't move too fast. You turn on your hazard lights, right? So that other road users would see. If they are speeding, they take their time, or if they need to do an overtaking, they do it sensibly, right? So that they leave you, right? And then we have the highlights. So with the highlights, we spoke about the low beam, the high beams, right? So with a high beam, for instance, I say that you use it appropriately. You don't use it anyhow. So when there is no car in front of you, right, and then the road is poorly lit, there are no street lights, and you're unable to see 100 meters away from it, that is when you use your high beam. If there is no car, if there is a car in front of you, don't use the high beams, because if you do that, you are going to end up causing issues for people, right? Okay. Then we have the horn on the siren, which is used to also warn road users of a potential hazard. And a short honk is usually enough to get the attention of road users. And it says, do not cause noise pollution with your horn. Banana relay. So usually you see these Friday when people go and take their people from the mortuary and stuff, and they are making noise. Noise pollution all over, which is not actually good, right? Then the turn signals, the traffic indicators. So before you turn left or right, you use the traffic indicators, right? Now, you have to note something. When you signal, you don't automatically move into the lane. Wait at least 5 seconds before you move there. Otherwise, if you don't do that and you just move, another car may just come and hit you, right? And so, when you signal, at least wait for 5 seconds, look into your driving mirrors, make sure it is safe for you to change lanes or make the turn before you do that. All right. And then hand gestures. So this one too, we say that it's an additional safety feature in addition to the signals. So if it is left, you just point out your hand this way, left, right, this way. If the person needs to stop or you need to stop someone, you just do that. Okay. Now, why do we communicate on the road? We communicate to avoid confusion. We communicate so that other road users can predict what we are going to do and be prepared to respond safely to our maneuvers. And lastly, we communicate to avoid accidents and also to inform road users of our presence. Right? This is where I'll end today's theory lesson. Do you have any questions? Any questions?
Okay.
Any questions? Ellie, any question? Are you sure? So everyone understood everything we did today. All right. Thank you very much. All right. So if you have questions, please drop them in the comment section and I will attend to you. Please make sure you subscribe, you like, and you share. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.